it's Romania Black, and I would like to say I've calmed down. But that's not the case. We're on episode 7 of Witch Hat Atelier, and no, I am possibly even more excited than I was last week, if that's at all possible, because, look, we just need to dive in. We're going to talk. I just watched the English dub, and that might have confirmed some things for me, but we're going to talk about it real quick, because I have some notes post-episode. My brain just fizzled out. I was in such a fangirling, fizzled out mode. I was like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And so that's where I was. And now that I've calmed down a little bit and I started realizing things I didn't get the chance to discuss with you all, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about the dub real quick. We need to talk about some things I noticed post episode. And you all have some comments from episodes 4 and 5. So we need to dive into that. This will be a long intro. I'll probably timestamp or something where the reaction is so y'all can know, but just hear me out. Hear me out. That's why I'm starting out with the dub, because I just watched the dub. First of all, every time Qifrey talks with that honeyed voice to Coco, you just want to melt. You just want to melt. And then there's Olruggio. I would do a lot for Olruggio. Here's the thing, though. Okay, they made Olruggio sound like a rugged hot Scrooge McDuck, and I'm kind of here for it. I'm really here for it, but here's the thing. As soon as I heard him speak, I was like, ooh, he sounds so much different than the English dub for The Masked Witch. So much different in the English dub. And to me, I could be wrong. It could be all a big old hoax, you all know. But my giant theory last episode that the Masked Witch and Olruggio were the same person, after watching the English dub, I'm like, I went from 50-50 to like 75-25. I'm like 75% sure that Olruggio is not the Masked Witch now, but there's still a 25% chance of a maybe. But I think more now, the voices in the English dub sound so different that I'm like, I think the Masked Witch is someone else. But I'm okay with that, because theory time, let's talk about some symbolism. You know, the Masked Witch has an eye mask, so maybe they are a watchful eye as well, like Olruggio. Maybe they're a watchful eye that's gone rogue. We'll see. And also, if you look at Qifrey has what? He has a good eye, the blue one, and he has a bad eye that's blacked out. So he has now 2 watchful eyes that might be garnering for his attention. Olruggio and the Masked Witch. It's a love triangle, like a pointed hat. It's just... it makes itself. It writes itself. The ship writes itself. So there's that. But also post episode 6, what I wanted to say was that you have Olruggio be tied to light, and then you have Qifrey being tied to water. Maybe even there was a piece of fan art that was shared in the Discord that had Olruggio next to a flame, and I was like, fire and water. Sold. Done. But then, like, you know, is Olruggio the light for Qifrey's rainy day as well, as the last episode suggested in the title? Maybe. Also, is Qifrey the wifey to Olruggio's daddy? I'm just saying these things. I'm just asking for shipping purposes, for research purposes. And then I was like, Qifrey's like black slutty like turtleneck that's got whatever this is up top, it's like ink, and Olruggio's big like fluffy sleeves are like the parchment. I need to stop. I could go on. I need to stop. But that's just... I'm all here for them. I'm all here for them. So now that I've got that out of my system, I've got a couple really short comments to say with y'all, and then we'll start the episode. Brian Gang, 3977 for episode 4, said, the tree lore makes me wonder how those things would live in nature without people, if the dead branches would kill the whole tree. We've talked about this in a previous episode, but I don't know if... you know, it could be one of those scenarios where humans think they're doing well and they're helping something in nature, but my theory is nature has a means. Nature has a way. In the words of Jeff Goldblum as Malcolm in Jurassic Park 1993, life will find a way. I feel like the tree would sort itself out, but I think that humans have taken it upon themselves to rid the branches thinking that they're helping the tree, but for all we know, they might be hurting it. We just don't know. So we need to get more into the tree lore. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more before we end season 1. Tasto3204 for episode 4 says, it's funny to imagine that the brimmed capped masked witch is trying their best to appear as a cool witch to Coco. Like, oh, did a test for those pointed caps and you got a little brush buddy? Not to worry, Coco, to prove how much more awesome us brimmed caps are, here's a dragon for you. One, love the idea that the masked witch is like Regina George's mom from Mean Girls. I'm a cool mom. I'm a cool witch, you know? But I also love the idea that Coco is going to be tugged 3 ways by possible father figures. Could happen. I mean, Olruggio has definitely now thrown his his pointed hat into the arena from last episode. Space Fox 4394 for episode 4 says, it's a bit clearer in the manga in my opinion, but it's implied as well that we don't have just 4 sigils or elements for magic. As Qifrey says in this episode, water, earth, levitation, air, and fire are the main basic ones, the primary tetrad, because they seem to be the basics and every witch has to learn, or the basis for more complex and advanced spells. That is good to note that there are other sigils, not just the 4 main ones, but since they're kids, that's what they're starting out with. That would explain a lot because, like, the layer casting seal and then the seal that's forbidden, those are pretty advanced and obviously involve like probably darkness and light and other things as well that we haven't really gotten into yet. So that'll be interesting to note. Lineal for episode 5 says, now that I'm seeing the episode again, I'm impressed with how fast Qifrey had that dragon spell prepared. Did he draw it in time between being outside of the realm and catching Agott? Did he just have it folded up and tucked away anywhere? If it's the latter, why does he have that spell ready to go? Either way is neat, but now I'm thinking I was having a very fun mental image of him having a spell pre-drawn and constantly thinking to himself, one day I'll finally get to use this. And you know what? I honestly think it could go either way, but when he first found Agott, he looked up and was like, so a dragon it is. I think that maybe he had the spell prepared and he was really ready to go for anything. Who knows? Or we have seen him draw very fast, so it really could literally be either one. And then finally, Silyeri for episode 5 says, fun fact, when it comes to the English VAs, both Coco and Qifrey's voice actors are non-binary. Awesome! Nice! I love that representation. Please. All right. So the last thing I want to share with you all, and I promise I'm not going to promise. I'm going to be shipping hardcore this entire series. I'm sorry you have to deal with it. Is this was shared in the Discord. It's a layout of Olruggio's room. I was wondering what the top part looked like, and now I don't have to guess. I'm just saying that one, if you notice, there are 2 beds. So there's at least, a little spare bed, maybe Qifrey needs to come up sometimes and they can study magic for lengthy periods of time and have lengthy chats. And oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I couldn't possibly go down these stairs. You have a hammock right here just waiting for me. Oh my gosh, it's so spacious. It's like twice the size of that bed. Like it could almost fit 2 people. I don't know. I'm not going to stop. It's over. And if the masked witch turns out to be flirty against Qifrey because they seem to have like a vendetta against them, it is on. It will be on. It will be on, y'all. So I hope you are prepared. I'm so excited. But anyway, I've talked long enough. Thank you all so much for watching with me and for all the kind words and comments. I really appreciate them, but we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to dive right into Witch Hat Atelier episode 7, y'all. And we're going to start this here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do it to it. So this was Anxiety, the episode. You know what's mad? You know what's maddening? Is that I told y'all last week that I was watching episode 6 and episode 7 kind of like within a few days of each other because I'm getting ready to go on a trip. Yeah, now I have to wait till I'm back from said trip before I can watch episode 8. It's not fair! Ah! On a cliffhanger like that, when they're in the hands of Junichi Sawabe? Yes, yeah, the voice actor voicing the head of the Brimmed Caps is none other than the Junichi Sawabe, who voices such characters all the time. He's great at playing a villain. I shouldn't have been surprised, but now you've not only given me Olruggio and Qifrey, who's hot, but you also have the leader of the Knights of Moralis is also hot and has Sawabe's voice. It's not fair. This show has too much power. Only if you gave, like, the masked witch Miyano Mamoru's voice would it be, like, overload, Ugh. So, this episode, I was like, oh, we're gonna make a showing of this episode. And it honestly did not go the way that I thought it would. I thought the drama and tension from this episode would come from a whole different place. But no, this show is full of surprises, and especially about Agott. Oh my god. So Agott makes a lot more sense now as a character. I'm like, okay, all right, we've got some intriguing backstory elements with Agott. I'm very curious about a lot of things with Agott, especially with Coco in comparison. They are setting possible things up that I'm like, ooh, that's gonna be interesting if it comes back the way that I think it was. But hell, I thought Olruggio was the masked witch, so I could be totally wrong. But anyway, we need to talk about this episode. And we need to talk about lots of aspects of it. And we're going to kind of situate ourselves. I'm going to move my little chair, kind of angle a little more so I can get access to Whiteboard Coon better. And here in 3, 2, 1, we're going to go through some of these screenshots and then also use them to our advantage. So I was talking about the beginning of the reaction that it just rained here a little while ago, and there was a big thing about, you know, watching out for like erosion and watching out for, you know, when the roads are flooded, you're not supposed to drive over them. So it felt very thematic with this episode as well. I really had wanted to see more of Agott and Olruggio. We did get a little bit of them together. There's some differences in learning styles and teaching styles with, we're just going to separate this out. We've got Qifrey over here. We're going to put him up here. We've got Olruggio over here. Honestly, Suave's character, the leader of the Knights of Moralis, whose name is Eastes? Is it Eastes? Is it Eastes? Easteth? I think it looks like Eastes. He looks like Eastes, which I'm like, that's a name. I don't know what nationality that originates from. I've never heard of someone named Eastes. I've heard someone named West before, but not Eastes. So, okay, Eastes, old Mr. Eastes. We're going to be getting on to him. And then we're going to put Agott down here because she deserves her own little special place in the Whiteboard Coon area with that. But yeah, so Olruggio telling her to hang on tight to the bundle, and they get up here. The bridge is up ahead. So when we start out, it's just Olruggio with the guy and Agott. Now, I think that Qifrey was very correct in not letting her go in the end of it. I get that Agott wants to go, but I do think that it's so interesting the way that Qifrey is worried and the way that Olruggio is worried. They're worried for different reasons, and it's very fascinating to break it down. But it's kind of a double-edged sword because on the one hand, I definitely get why Qifrey would not want her going in a high-risk situation. And it's not just because it's a danger to her. And hear me out on this. Qifrey is not a fan of water. He's afraid of water. He's not in his comfort zone. So if you are teaching someone and you are in charge of a kid and you are not comfortable, that automatically adds more stress onto you in the moment. And you're also worried about Agott's safety as well because Agott is a child. And so you have you worried about the mission, you worried about things that you're already stressing about as an adult, and now you have a kid to go on top of that. I could see why Qifrey did not want her to go if he was making it just about himself alone. But he also is like, you know, there's going to be a lot of people there who are not witches. So I think that's a big part there too, is to consider, his whole thing into Agott is to consider the surroundings. He's basically saying, and I like that he has to word it carefully because there's a non-witch right in front of them. So he's like, you know, there's going to be a lot of people there who aren't witches. So it's not like it's a different scenario. Honestly, I was more tense during this than I was in episodes 4 and 5. Because at least with the dragon, they're all amongst each other and they're all witches, so they all can use magic and it's not a big deal because they all know that each other can do it. And so if you see drawing or whatever, in this world, it's kind of like episode 1 where Qifrey had to go inside the cottage to draw the spell to fix the carriage. No one can see them draw. When that anxiety sank in that you're not supposed to see them draw the spells, that's a whole nother boat of anxiety. And so now I'm like, I don't think Agott realizes how stressful that situation really truly was until she got into it. That is crazy. You haven't taken the second test that allows you to cast in front of them. So we get a little bit of world building up here, which we're going to do over here. We established that the second test is to cast magic in front of anyone. So when she was saying last episode, I want to take the second test so I can perform magic in the outside, I was thinking that so she could go get work as a witch and perform magic, you know, out in the outdoor world. I wasn't taking into account that also means you have to be able to pass the second test before you can do magic in front of anyone. Aha! That's where the Knights of Moralis are like, wait a minute, you're performing a spell and you're not certified. So you don't have your license. It's basically like they're the cops and they pulled up and you don't have your driver's license. They're like, oh, you've been taking the driver's license class, but you don't even have like a permit yet. You just decided that you'd take a joyride without passing the test or having your license. That's essentially what it is. That's kind of what it is. Except the thing is, then they found out that not only did you steal the car, but you also lit the entire like runway on fire or turned it into sand in this case. And they're like, well, now we're not only going to take away your license and your chance of getting it, but we're also going to erase your memories. So it's a bit extreme. But you know, we knew that this was the risk that you had to take getting involved in all of this. And she's like, I know how to cast in front of people. This guy here, this dad that's worried, not only, he's finding out all sorts of things. He's like, oh my gosh, this guy's got a whole house of kids. There's 2 dads. Okay, didn't know that about the witches in town. Good for them. So, yeah, I've been preparing the test for ages. Shouldn't a master seek more opportunities for his apprentices to gain experience? Let's talk about that. So in Agott's mind, she sees it as a master should want an apprentice to gain experience. And I don't think that Qifrey doesn't want that, but Qifrey wants it in a more controlled environment. Qifrey wants it in a safe environment where he can kind of make sure that the outcome is something that's beneficial. He's worried that taking her on this mission is going to yield a very dangerous result or something that's going to like impede her success rather than bolster it, which he wasn't wrong. So he's like, well, even so. And this guy's like, hey, can I go see my son? Are you guys going to help me or not? And then Olruggio says, we'll set up a windowway exit at the site. The windowway exit's interesting. We're going to talk about that. We're going to ready the medicine and the contraptions we'll need and meet me there. And I'll take Agott ahead of me. So then Qifrey's like, well, let's just all go. And I'm like, what? Qifrey? I like that Qifrey's like, oh, well, you know, if one goes, they all have to go. I'm like, no, Qifrey, they all did not have to go, actually. That makes it even more dangerous. And of course, Olruggio's like, relax. It's going to totally be fine. There are things you can learn by experiencing reality as well. So, in Olruggio's mind, he does believe that experiencing reality is important. So Qifrey likes, you know, a gentle, controlled environment where we can just do a simulation and we're going to learn we're going to do these little small steps and build up to our big things. Whereas Olruggio kind of has a more pragmatic approach where he's like, look, they're going to find out one day how the world is. Let's just let them see it now. Let them get down in the dirty and see the real grime of everything and see how the real world is. And Qifrey wants to have a little bit more rose-colored glasses. And he's like, Agott in particular. So his worry about Agott, and this is all in Qifrey's opinion, is that it's not the joy of her accomplishment that she focuses on. He's like, she's not focusing on the joy of what she's accomplished, but instead, she says, what does he say there? I wanted to get the frustration of things she can't do. Instead, it's the frustration of what she cannot do. Instead of focusing on the joy, she's focusing on the negatives. And he's like, I don't think that's healthy, and I don't think that it's very conducive to her growth. And in his mind, he's like, there's nothing wrong with being inexperienced. So he views inexperience as okay. He's like, it's okay to not have all the answers. And it's okay to have a childhood and be able to grow up slowly. He's like, but in her haste, he's afraid that she's going to be too hasty to grow up, and it's going to cause her to make a mistake. Which, crazily enough, she didn't make the mistake in this episode. It was really Coco. But it wasn't even Coco's fault. We're going to talk about it. But he's worried that she's going to, end up being hurt along the way because she's trying to grow up too fast. This entire whole thing with the carriage gave me Oregon Trail vibes. You're right at the end of Oregon Trail. You're about to cross over, and then your covered wagon tips over and you lose all the bison meat you've been spending the last 3 hours collecting. So, hate it when that happens. All right, so this episode is called Who is Magic For? Which is interesting because Olruggio tells Agott to question what is magic for. So, interestingly enough, the Knights of Moralis getting involved here, I'm like, the people who can do magic, they are a selective bunch, It's just so crazy to see people that are not used to the witching world being like, witches are here. What are they going to do? And Olruggio gives her the rings to use. Now, I'd be keeping them rings dry if it were me. And he's like, once you're done, await further orders. This whole tarp tapestry is so freaking cool. The idea that you just connect all of those little big bits and pieces together and it creates a circle. What? Are they going to be using? Here's some things that we don't like. Questions for next week is going to be the window way. Are we going to end up using the window way? We made it. Are we going to use it? That could be something interesting. I could see Qifrey going rogue with it. And Agott is upset because she's not getting to use actual magic. She's going to use the rings. And I like that Olruggio, with his neck exposed like a Victorian whore, is telling her, like, what did you expect? You've not passed the second test. Do you really think that we're going to let you do what is illegal and do magic in front of all these people? No. No, he's like, I'm letting you come and see how it's done. Olruggio is like, you're going to experience reality and you're going to learn from a real life situation. This is on the job, hands-on interning. You're job shadowing for the day. You're seeing how the witches do things. You're not going to get to do magic yourself. You're going to help out where you're needed and you're going to make a difference, but we're going to do it all legally and within the realm of what we're allowed. Don't be expecting to be able to do things. He's like, I know Qifrey would let you do it behind closed doors, but I'm not like him. I'm the dad that goes by the rules. Also, that neck exposed, there are fan fictions out there, I'm sure, that have wrote pages upon such descriptive elements. Yeah. He's like, and I like that he tells her, do you think that doing simple tasks is meaningless? So I like that his whole thing is that every task, every part of a mission is important. I like that. He's very gruff around the edges. Olruggio says things in a very gruff manner, but I like what he tells her. He's like, every part of this mission is important, whatever you can do. And what's crazy is we talked last week about how Olruggio and Coco might, find some common ground. Coco kind of like says what he's saying later on. When she's on the rock, she's like, what can I do? She doesn't ask. Like, the difference between Coco and Agott is that Agott wants to do something grandiose. She wants to do something big. She wants to do something meaningful, which is tied to the brimmed caps, and we're going to talk about it. But Coco, on the other hand, is like, what can I do that is important? And when she is like, oh, I thought my dog's nose was like up against my foot. When she is down there on the rock, she's like, I will do anything to help. And that's a big difference between her and Agott. Coco is willing to do whatever it takes her in the mission, and Agott wants to be the hero. And then he's like, you're too impatient. If you want to show off what you can do, there'll be other better settings. And Agott gets very mad, but if you want to be useful here and now, think carefully what magic is for. And so Olruggio, he's just pretty down and realistic with everything, just getting down to the brass tacks, saying, like, he's blunt, essentially. Like, Qifrey is like, oh, well, actually, here's all these little flowery languages, look at the magic, and Olruggio is like, this is what we're doing. Just two different styles entirely. And Agott thinks that Olruggio is looking down upon her, right? I I just had a vision. I just had a Raven Simone vision. Olruggio is acting like Tuxedo Mask, and Qifrey's like freaking Serena, and Agott is Chibiusa from the Black Lady Saga. I'm just, let me ship them even more. And she gets mad. He's like, he's treating me like an ignorant child again. Maybe Olly he said Olly. Did Qifrey give him a nickname? Did Qifrey, I need y'all to stop what you're doing and comment down below. Did Qifrey give Olruggio the nickname Olly? Because if he did, if there are pet names involved, it's over. It's over. Okay, but anyway, Agott believes that that Olruggio is treating her like a child. Like an ignorant child. And he's not. He's not treating her like a child. I can understand where she's coming from and why she thinks that, but he's not. He's just not letting her do illegal shit, because he knows that she'll get in trouble and could lose everything. And then, I think that he did give him the nickname Olly. Oh my God. Anyway, Agott, you can understand why she's mad. And the thing of it is, this is going back to that self-isolation she does. Like when she says here, I work harder than anyone. Well, you work harder than anyone because you think you work harder than anyone, because all you know is being by yourself, practicing all day. So yes, you do work hard, but you don't get to see Tetia, Richa, and Coco work in comparison. You think they're just goofing around, but they really aren't. And you would know that if you hung out with them and saw how much work they were doing. It's kind of like back in episode 5 when Coco looked around. She looked and saw everyone working. She's like, oh, everyone's practicing and they're doing the circles in the sky, in the air before they write them on the paper. She's like, wow, they've really worked really hard at this. Again, Agott and Coco are total opposites. Coco is immediately humbled and in awe of all the work everyone does because she's coming from a place of not knowing anything. Agott seems to come from a legacy, and that's the big difference. Coco is indeed the outsider. She is the outsider who is grateful and humbled by everything that she sees. And she tries hard, but doesn't know the right methods. She's still trying to figure out all the methods. Agott believes that she works the hardest because that's all Agott knows in comparison. She doesn't hang around with the others to see. She's like, I need to prove to that person as soon as possible that I'm a worthy witch. Oh my God, that might be the thumbnail. That face is terrifying. Those eyes are soulless. At that point in the episode, I was like, oh, is that person you need to prove things to a brimmed capped witch? Possibly? Because, why would you need to do so quickly? I need to prove to that witch that I am worthy. This is the crazy part, right? Because the masked witch, put the masked witch over here, believes that Coco is the hope of the brimmed cap witches. Hear me out. We already have a lot of strife between Agott and Coco, and we've had a lot of strife for the last several episodes. What would exacerbate that strife to an unhealthy, absurd degree? Let's say, for example, that Agott's mother, let's say she's in cahoots with the brimmed capped witches. Let's just say that she is. Let's say she's in cahoots with them, and she ran off because her family considered her unworthy. And then she stumbled upon Qifrey, and Qifrey, who has a tendency to take in stray cats and not ask questions, took her in without question. Let's say she's trying to prove herself as worthy so she can go back to her mother and prove that she's a good witch and that she is actually good at something. Let's say her mother's a brimmed capped witch. Let's also say that the masked witch is in with her and the other brimmed capped witches, and they're like, oh, well, Agott, that's really cute that you can do all that, though, but this girl's gonna be the hope of our people, and it's freaking Coco. That woman will lose her shit. Agott will lose her mind if that's what goes down. And I'm not saying it's going to, but the theory has crossed my mind that that could happen. So, meanwhile, Olruggio and Qifrey, Show you didn't have to make Qifrey any more badass. You really didn't. But then you decided he's hot and he's a slut. What else could he use? A sword. A friggin' magic water sword. Like, what is that shot? That shot's incredible. That shot's absolutely amazing. I would make that the thumbnail, but Agott is kind of the center and focal point of the episode. That's crazy. That sword is really badass, though. I'm kind of in love with it. Also, it establishes, I love that he's, like, levitating off above the water because he's like, nope, not getting my feet wet. I had not really even considered in the world building the idea of weapons infused with magic. Call me Coco, call me naive, but I was thinking, oh, lanterns and this and that and everyday objects infused with magic to do tasks. It did not even harken across my mind that you could infuse like a bow with magic or a sword with magic or an axe with magic. I was like, oh shit, now that's going to be crazy because that opens up a whole world of possibilities of what you could do with those items. Like just, and then he becomes Moses and just parts the sea. And they're like, that's incredible. And the thing is, to those people that don't know magic, when they see him use this special sword to part the waters, they don't see the casting spells. They don't know that that's what's causing it. They just think he has a magic sword. So they're like, please stand back. I like Tatia's job is to get them to stand back, and then these two working together to save them. Love it. How many's in the carriage? So there's the mom, and then there's the son. All I could think about, this is really off topic, but all I could think about is in the dad's panic to save the son, and the son's name was like Custus or something. For some reason, I was thinking of The Walking Dead, and then like the dad was like, the sheriff, and then Custus was like Custus. Like that's all I could think of. And it was really throwing me off in the reaction. My mind just went to The Walking Dead and how like distraught the dad was for his son. It was making me think of that series. And so Qifrey doesn't like water. He's like, ugh, I hate getting wet. Olruggio's like, I'm coming down to save everybody. Like, this was a legit dangerous mission. I could see why you would not want children, especially kids like Agott and them who haven't practiced magic nearly enough to be down there in the trenches. Like, that just would not bode well at all. And then him using the sword to, like, cast the water back. Crazy. Crazy indeed. And then the two of them, they're like, great work. And then they both high-fived like it was freaking Skate the Infinity. I don't know if you've seen Skate the Infinity or not, but it's like, yeah. Like that's the last time I've seen a high five, I think, in an anime. I don't think I've seen it in Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't think it happened. But I think in Skate the Infinity, Ricky and Longo were like, yeah, man. I'm just saying. It connects. It connects indeed. Oh my gosh. So yeah, Dagda. Dagda is the dad, and then Custus, or Curtis. Is it Custus? I don't know. This kid. They did a really good job of realistically portraying, like, also, can we give a shout out to the show for having, like, really good father figures in this anime? Can we give a shout out for some really good father figures? Because there's this dad that did a really good job of being a worrying, doting father. Qifrey is a worrying, doting father. Olruggio is a doting father that worries and is rugged as all hell get out. But yeah, what's some great father figures in this show? Nicely done. Nicely done, show. I mean, usually when we see anime dads, they're like super foreboding and like imposing and just like, I think of just like this big muscly guy, like, you know, I think of Hunter x Hunter, I think of My Hero Academia, I think of those series where like the dads are very imposing and kind of threatening. This actually shows like dads and father figures as being like down to earth and more caring, which is progressive and very important to show. So yeah, I kind of loved that. Like the mom wasn't really even in this, you know, which granted she just got rescued. So like we're glad we made it in time. So the apprentices brought medicine if anyone was injured. And then all of them were like looking at the sword, the water sword. I love how they're all blushing, even Agott. They're like, it's so cool. And Qifrey's like, this is the rain cleaver. I love the concept and the theory that Qifrey just has a bunch of weapons that can use water, utilize water, fend off water, anything to keep him from getting wet. He's got it. Now, I could say something that's very gutter-minded, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be classy. I'm going to be sophisticated the rest of this episode. So yeah, Can I hold it for a second? He goes, no, no, no. Magic cast on weapons requires the utmost caution. It's not safe. Qifrey is the most, like, I don't think the word passive aggressive is the right word for it, but he's the most, like, no. Like, just, Olruggio's like, what? Why would you want to do that? And Qifrey's like, no, sweet baby child. When you are older, sweet baby child, then maybe you can, you know, if you just maybe. Yeah, meanwhile, okay, so Olruggio's already packed up the window way. So, well, that takes that out. He already packed it up. I thought we were going to get to use it. He's like, I'm going to go check up River. What was he checking up River for? Just to be safe. Suspicious! Suspicious! He's like, I'll check down River. A 25% chance. A 25% chance something could go awry. We're just going to put the 25% chance there. Why would you go upriver? What were you going to look for? Upriver? To get him to go downriver? They did take a kid with them, but the kids that they left behind, I don't know. That's tinfoil hat theory stuff. I don't know if that really is significant. It makes sense. It makes sense why they left Coco and Agott behind, because they didn't have the sylph shoes. And I'm gonna just point out that some people have noted that Qifrey might be a little bit more naive than he appears. And I think he might be, in a sense. Olruggio doesn't know these kids very well at all. He's just like Qifrey's home for children he's taken in as apprentices. So he doesn't pay, I think, as much as attention as even Qifrey does, which is a problem. If I were Qifrey and I looked at this situation, and I saw Agott and Coco, who have seemingly had some tension between them, I don't know if, I could see why he'd want to leave them together so that they could talk things out and help the people and maybe use it as a bonding moment. And I talked the other episode about how they needed to bond, so that's fair. But here's my thing about the sylph shoes. If I were going upriver or downriver, I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, I would think I'd want to leave someone behind of the group that had sylph shoes access in case they needed to hurry up and go get someone to come back and help. I think I would want to leave Tetia or Richa behind in case if something went down. Even though everything seems safe, you have all those people there. I'd leave one person with sylph shoes behind in case something went down and take Agott or Coco with me. And if I were Qifrey, I would have taken Agott with me to, like, you know, debrief with her, talk about what happened today. Like, what did she learn? Did she see the dangers? Like, hey, now that we're by ourselves, can we talk about what happened? You know, yeah, I'm just making Qifrey like a guidance counselor, but I'm like, what'd you think about what happened? Did you think you were useful? What was this? What are your thoughts about it? Can we break it down like he's a therapist or something? But I would have probably taken Agott with me and left Tetia with them or Richa with them. And then Olruggio could have taken Coco or Richa, whoever, but that's not what goes down. I felt like there's another option to change things, but he's like, yeah, you two watch over things here. I don't know. Leaving the two kids, one of them's a witch that's, you know, been targeted for forbidden magic. One of the ones, I just feel like Qifrey and Olruggio, they pulled not a great move, because if you were worried about Agott the whole time, I wouldn't have left her. You have a girl that has been literally saying she wants to do magic in front of people, and you've had to literally tell her no. I would have kept her in my line of sight the entire day. I would not have left her been unguarded if it was me. And if I had Coco, who's been targeted by the brimmed-capped witches in public spaces where there were witches, why would you leave her by herself with regular people? I just feel like I am not mad at Agott. I am not mad at Coco. But I'm looking at these two boobs who are cohabitating together and being like, what are you doing? Leave Richa and Tetia there. They're fine. Take these girls with you that are of concern. Come on now. And it's not the girl's fault, but the dads in question, I'm going to call them dads in question. I'm like, sirs, we did not think about this. We did not think about this at all. And what's kind of sad is the whole time, all Coco can think about is that she wants to return Agott's shoes. Like, that's her prime goal, is to return Agott's shoes. That's what she wants to do. So, and of course, again, polar opposites. the one guy goes, well, thank you, little Miss Witch. And she's like, oh, you called me a little witch? That's so nice of you. I've never been called a witch before by somebody in public. Oh my gosh. And Agott, little Miss Witch, no. Agott wants to be recognized as and be taken seriously and be respected. So the people are lamenting about the cargo they got swept away. And meanwhile, Custus, I'd be cussing Custus out. I would be the southern mama that I'm used to would be like, get your butt back up here right now. Nah. Custus would be getting a cussing. That's for sure. Because what do you mean you just escaped a near-death situation and you're going to do it again? Get your ass back up here, kid. Like, oh, I would have had an earful if I'd been trying to do that. And instead, he's trying to get down there and get to, it looks like an instrument. One of our crates got caught. I'm going to go pick it back up. And then the tree manages to fall. There's a gap because the banks collapsed. Yeah, I mean, cute kid. But damn, he could have been crushed. He could have died very easily. Like, that could have been the end. He could have died. Coco went down there to try to help. I do appreciate that they showed the dad's concern and like the dad nearly fainted and the dad was freaking out. Like, I'm glad they had the realism in that moment of the parent being super worried. That was really well done, but way to create tension. And in this moment, okay, so Agott was being a typical tsundere. She was just like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you, Coco. No. She was being a typical tsundere. But the moment that she thinks for a second that Coco might be in trouble, then she's like, oh no, we see you. We see you, Agott. We know what you're up to. So Coco's like, hey, I'm over here, but this kid is trapped. What are we gonna do? And then he sees her and is like, there's a witch right here. Please, you can save him using magic, right? I'm begging you to please save him. Ooh, so, I mean, even if Agott wasn't a child, this is such a moment of temptation. Like, this is my chance. Look at what I could do. This is everything I wanted. This is all I could do. I could use this magic. I could do all this. Regardless of if Agott was a child or not, I could see how someone that was a witch would be so tempted. Even if they, like, not only to, I mean, I could see the temptation of magic to get notoriety and the temptation of magic to be recognized is pretty powerful. And so I could see you, you know, even if you didn't have the materials, well, I'll just use my body for magic. Like, stuff like that. I could see it. Because just like this, our masters aren't here. Coco's locked down and the situation is desperate. If I save him with magic, I can prove they were wrong about me. At this point, when Agott does the smile there's the question of who are they? Who are they? And that smirk makes me wonder if they are not Olruggio and Qifrey, but if they are the brimmed caps. And maybe, you know, to give Agott the benefit of the doubt, maybe Agott doesn't realize that they're brimmed caps. Maybe she doesn't know that. But I'm thinking, like, does they refer to Olruggio and Qifrey? That she's trying to prove that they were wrong? Does they refer to her mother and maybe her father? Does they refer to the brimmed caps or some of the other witches? Does they refer to, like, the Society of Witches? There's a lot that's left kind of in mystery with Agott, but that smirk... Here's the thing. The crazy thing about it is that Agott is being framed like a character that could become a villain, but I feel like they're going to become a hero. And Coco, who is framed like she could become a hero, I feel it's funny because she's being targeted by the villains. She's being recruited by the villains. So it's opposite. Coco is our hero being recruited by the villains, and Agott may come from the villains and is being recruited by the heroes. It's poetry. It's sheer poetry. I really like it. So she says, I could prove they were wrong about me. And then she gets drugged back to reality. And they're like, are you casting a spell? You said you could use magic to save him. And they're like, now show what you can do, Agott. Is this all the magic that she has? So there's this droplet of ink that brings us back to the past. This droplet of ink. that opens up into eyes and other body parts that look a lot like, I don't know, like the brimmed caps masks. Not much compared to the others. And it says you need to take the drawing more seriously. She's not bad, but she's average. I would hardly believe she's her daughter. So Agott has a notorious or famous mom. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Interesting indeed. I have a theory about Qifrey, and I'm going to put my little T on here about Qifrey so I don't forget about it. But I have a theory about Qifrey that might tie to this, and why he took Agott in. I could kind of, I'm thinking about it. We'll think about it. But she has a mom that's apparently notorious or famous, and she has been labeled as average by those around her. So that all makes sense now. All of that talk to Coco about her not liking people who can't be on her level, well, because she's been bullied since she was a kid that she's average. So when Coco came from the Dagda range, having won the test, that was immediately a blow to Agott's ego of like, oh, wow, she can even do that. And she's mediocre, but she can do that test. And I could barely do it. So that must mean I suck. And the stuff, like every time Coco figures out something and has protagonist plot armor happen, Agott just gets reminded about how average she is and how much she's been told she sucks. Even though we as the audience know, no, she's gotten really great at drawing and she's really smart and talented. She's been like basically told by, she's basically been bullied and harassed into believing that she's worthless. And said she's still just a child. I had such high hopes. But you disappointed me, Agott. And if you look at all of them, one, all their designs make me think brimmed cap witches, but the way that all of their, it's really cool how their designs are, because on the one hand, the way the heads all look pointed, they look like pointed hats instead of brimmed caps, but then they also look like pins. They look like wands, like the little tip point of the wands, but then they also look like people pointing. So it's like a quadruple metaphor all at once. And it's so freaking effective. So yeah, I had such high hopes. So she originally had this outfit that looks red. So the moment I saw, here's the thing. The moment I saw the black hair that was like cascading down and like the red cape, I immediately thought of the Knights of Moralis. So I don't think that's the case, because the Knights of the Moralis are not the only witches that can wear red. But I immediately thought of the Knights of Moralis. That's why when we saw Easties and we only saw the back of his head, I thought it was her mom. And I was like, oh, hey, oh, no. Oh, I'm sure everybody in the comments were like, wow, you really thought that Easties was Agott's mother. Nice, good for you. Our family has no need for someone with no talent. I do wonder if, like, the way that there is, let's draw the pendant that she has on there. The pendant looks like this, with a little, it looks like this with two little hooks on the end of it, and there's two circles. I feel like with the red cape and everything, it does look like the Knights of Moralis. I don't know, maybe there's a connection there. But she's kicked out of the family because she seemingly has no talent. And then we see that she cut her hair off, chopped her hair off, and tried to start anew. She's like, why do I have to remember that now? Why? I feel for Agott. I do feel for Agott because, you know, it's not her fault. She's had all of this pressure put upon her, and it's not her fault that these people were really cruel to her as a child, as a literal child. Like, Qifrey's been all about, like, it's okay if you don't know everything. And whoever she was around as a child wanted her to believe she had to be good at everything. And I feel for that, because I do think that there are some parents that expect their kids to be perfect, and that's freaking messed up, and you need to all stop that. So, because it's giving your kids trauma, and you're making them have like a horrible childhood. So I see parents that just like, they don't want to let their kids fail. And I'm like, but they are eventually going to fail. That's the thing. Eventually they will. And if you don't teach them that it's okay and that they can learn from failure and et cetera, then when they do fail, it's going to be really bad. And Qifrey kind of was trying to point that out at the start of the episode. And then we cut to Coco asking if there's anything she can do. And meanwhile, okay, so then Agott thinks, okay, what can we do? She's like, can you move? What's the situation? My question was, here's the thing. This is the part that's kind of messed up. When she went up with Custus, she went up with Custus with the cloak to levitate, right? She left her satchel with the ink and paper. So whatever the situation was, one brimmed-capped witch, okay, so I'm going to disprove my earlier theory that Olruggio, I'm disproving my own theory in real time with you all. I'm going to disprove my theory with Olruggio because what ended up happening was the brimmed-capped witch would have had to get down there while they got Custus back up and they were distracted. The brimmed-capped witch, who probably has been stalking Coco, because that seems to be a thing, has been stalking Coco. So if the brimmed-capped witch stalked Coco over to the site and then hid and then saw an opportunity, then activated the spell while Coco was up there with the kid. I could see that happening. Of course, if that happened, that rules out Olruggio because he was off with Richa. Unless he knocked Richa out and did it while she was unconscious or something. But I doubt that he did, so. My suspicions for Olruggio being a brimmed cap is dropping by the minute in these episodes. I was so convinced, but now I'm not. So yeah, she's like, here's the problem. My satchel, it does not let me. I can't. And so then we have the anxiety of not letting the non-witches see the drawing spells. And then Agott uses her brain, realizes, hey, we can use the rings to dry out the paper. And she hands the ring over to Coco. I really like this shot because they're both like, what do I do? Like, both of them in that moment are like, we need to save this kid. We don't have time to think. What do we do? And as we think of that, we cut to underwater where apparently, I mean, if I was in the Knights of Moralis and I had nothing to do, I would probably sit in front of my window and whale watch too. Y'all can see how I would have thought maybe this was, y'all can see how I maybe would have thought this was Agott's mom. It was the red, the long black hair. It seemed to make sense in the moment. But yeah, Easties, who is freaking drop dead gorgeous and is voiced by Junichi Sawabe. We could only be so lucky. He looks very elven. He's got like the little crown around his head. He looks really freaking hot. All these witches look really good. What can we do? So yeah, the situation is dire, but she hasn't given up yet. So she's like, she says Master Olruggio, like with the goatee. And she's like, the rings. Which is something crazy too, because they're trying not to let the people see what the rings are as well, to know about the magic. We need to be able to save Custus. What's also kind of frustrating with the mystery of this episode is that we don't see Coco drawing the spell. We don't see her doing it, right? She does it off screen, but we don't see her do it, which makes the situation even more crazy because it's like, because she does the sand spell to get the sand to work for being able to like get him out of the rock, but then it kind of creates a sense of doubt, It creates a sense of doubt because you're like, well, she used the spell to get him out of the rock, but we didn't actually see her use the spell, so the spell that she drew, like, are the brimmed cap witches maybe like influencing her without her thinking about it? Like, what did Curtis see her draw the spell? Like, we didn't get to see any of that moment, so it's frustrating because it does cast a little bit of a shadow of doubt on Coco. It really does, which is interesting. So, Agott, we get her last name, which is Arklum. I mean, go for alliteration, right? And I love she says she's Qifrey's top apprentice. She's got to throw that in there. Just throw it in, But she uses the Phoenix Light spell to get their attention and distract them. I love that there's that little cut from her being like a kid and then to being where she's at now drawing the spell. And it works pretty good, right? It worked really good. And all that practice helped her to do a spell that was really well done. Look, at the end of this episode, right before Coco gets her memories taken, Qifrey and Olruggio have to show up. It just has to happen. How you didn't see that phoenix fly into the air and know they needed to get back, I don't know. They're freaking faking us out with this cliffhanger and it's making me frustrated. But yeah, she's like, okay, I was just practicing the levitation spell with the carapace yam. I love the callback to that. The callback to the yam is really good. Like that. She's like, I can handle this. Having just practiced so much. She's like, to move a stone this large and heavy, the palm choir's paper is too small. But, you know, then she talks to Custus, and I think she realizes she could use the cloak. It was my friend's spell. And then she's like, that's it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And then, of course, again, we're getting the tension of doing magic in front of these outsiders because they start to question, like, well, is that all it's going to do? What else are you going to do with your magic? And it's like, it's so tense. It's like you're telling them all a big lie. It's just a huge lie. And, like, the idea that they have to, like, go with it and just try to make it work is... There's so much tension. I can see why these witches like staying on their own little islands. I can see why they'd want to stay not involved with outsiders. And then Coco managing to save. I want to see what happens. So his leg looks like it's been crushed. But maybe those are the socks. They don't look like bandages. But she managed to levitate and get him out. Girl. She's like, pull me in. That's so awesome. And then the bird dissipated. She's like, what did you do, Coco? I like that she rubbed the spell off so that her little cape would stop levitating. And I love that she hugs Agott. She's like, I was so scared down there. And Coco's so humble. She's like, I was inspired by this, and I did this, and I wanted to get back and help, and I'm so glad that you're okay. Like, And of course, Agott is like a cat that's like, get away, no hugs. She's just a tsundere. You don't give tsunderes hugs outright. Don't you know Anime Rules 101? She's like, what did you do down there? And then she felt the sand. She's like, remember how you guys used the rock breaking spell to save us before? Yep. Even with a small seal, the rock breaker could easily pulverize the rock. I couldn't help back then, but my friend's spell saved us. So, yeah, this was a really cute, touching moment. But the moment she used that spell, I was like, the Knights of Moralis, they seem like they're very just, they're lickety-split, making sure that they see everything. Here's the thing, though. They were informed about the incident. So they showed up because they'd heard that there was all this stuff going down. If they hadn't known about the carriage and stuff, would they have shown up and seen the spell being used? She's like, that was a flared collar master's back. And since when are we friends? It's like, oh, come on. You know better. And I like that Coco is inspired when she sees the dad hugging the son. She's like, I want to be able to rescue my mom and get back with her like that father is reuniting with his son. You know, it's very sweet. But then, also, I wonder, I hadn't thought about this, but I wonder if Agott, you know, because Coco is Coco is the polar opposite of Agott. Coco was very close with her mother. Agott seems like she's estranged from her mother. Agott is maybe trying to get back to her mom, and Coco is as well. So there's that connection between them. That's really interesting. But yeah, and then tying them together is this bandage trapping them up in the air. I have a feeling that the memories of all of these people with the carriages is about to get erased. I have a feeling there's a lot about to get erased. The Knights Moralis. Yep. Also, I want to see them up close. So they have black pants, the black leggings down to the very like old knightly shoes, like their cloaks, red lined, seamstress extraordinaire. Also, of course, Easties has to be voiced by Junichi Sawabe. Were you the one who cast the spell, or was it you? Even if you're children, you'll get no mercy from me. He has red eyes and black hair. Villainous indeed. Yeah, Easties is interesting because he automatically is proving Qifrey's point of the Knights of Moralis. They do not care if you are children. They do not care if this is your first offense. They do not care who you are. They're going to punish you. And I'm like, so how are they getting out of this again? Qifrey, what we doing? Qifrey, how we doing this? Because I'm sure Easties is not like Qifrey. And of course, oh my God, of course, Easties has black hair and red eyes, and Qifrey has white hair and blue eyes. And then you have Olruggio, who has black hair like Eastie's, but blue eyes like Qifrey, who's the middleman. I see what you're doing, color theory. I see what you're doing. Which one of you are collaborating with the brimmed caps? Now, in that moment, when he says that, Agott's like, it's not like that. We're not brimmed caps. We didn't use any forbidden magic either. So Agott knows a bit about what the brimmed caps are reputable for. And they're like, look down there. Yeah, so all the sand that has come from the river, the whole area turned into sand. And it all spread out like that too. And the river is vaporizing into fog. Oh, yeah, all them people, they're getting their memories erased as soon as this is over. Which is going to kind of suck because all the stuff that they did is not going to be recognized anymore. She's like, I did not. And he's like, so it was your spell. Oh, he looks so good. I have a feeling that Qifrey is a thorn in this man's side. And if he isn't, he is about to be. Because he did say to Olruggio, he's letting nobody touch him. Also, I'm just throwing this out here. I have read so many Donmai at this point. Easties looks like he would be in a Donmai. He looks like he would be in a Donghua. He looks like he'd be in a Chinese fantasy. It's the long black hair and those cool little silver things. He has a Byakuya vibe from Bleach to him, which makes me want to like him. So, but I don't know if he's going to become like a morally gray hero later on. I don't know. And so then we have this thing, which is the sigil for making people lose their memories, right? So that was going to make you lose your memories. Yep. You violated a taboo. Also, this thing, the laws of the Day of the Pack are inviolable. Your punishment is oblivion. That's creepy as shit. The idea, I was like, how does it take your memories? The idea that it like crawls to get to you? That's terrifying. Nope. That's creepy as hell. That magic looks like something the brimmed caps would use. Interesting indeed. So, how are you getting her out of this, Qifrey? How's this gonna work? That's the question. If you're not familiar with my channel, next week is episode 8, and Romania Black has a rule about the 8th episode of a short core, which is, between 11 and 13 episodes. So basically, we'll talk a little bit more about it next week, but I'm freaking excited. I don't think that if any show was not going to let me down with the rule of 8, it was going to be Witch Hat Atelier. So I'm like, y'all, I have talked about this episode for nearly an hour, but I'm fascinated by Agott and her backstory, because there's clearly a backstory. Here was my theory with Qifrey, though, because I think Qifrey's going to step in and save her. But my question is, how would Qifrey get away with such things? And how is Qifrey tied to Agott? I feel like... this is just all headcanon theory. Again, I could be wrong. I feel like I'm very wrong now about Olruggio and the Masked Witch. I feel like that was like, I went down the wrong alley and turned the wrong way. I feel like Qifrey, based on what he's told us, based on his views of magic, his views of the Knights of Moralis, based on his wanting to stay away from the Great Hall, based on all of that, but based on his knowledge of magic and how talented he is at it, my theory is that Qifrey was with a reputable witch, or was an apprentice to a very reputable witch. And I feel like that witch was respected by everybody in the Great Hall, which is why Elira keeps wanting him to come back. But I feel like Qifrey was the problem child that did something wrong. I wonder, like, when it comes, it looks like something from Full Metal Alchemist that's going to come out and, like, grab your eyeball. I wonder if Qifrey lost his eye from the Knights of Moralis, like if he did something wrong and they were going to wipe his memories, and then the reputable witch that was his mentor stepped in and prevented them from doing that somehow. I don't know. But if that is the case, I could see why he would take in Agott, because if he was the problem child of a reputable witch, and Agott is the problem child of a reputable witch, I could see why Qifrey would maybe relate to her and be like, oh, I want to take you in and show you the joys of magic. And it's okay if you're not as top-notch as the others. I'll make it to where you will get to that point. Just you wait. I wonder. I wonder if that's the case. I don't know. I don't know, y'all, but I hope we find out. I just hate that I have to wait now. Now I'm like you all that were waiting week to week. I got a taste of being able to watch a few episodes a little bit back to back, and now I'm having to wait again. Well, shit. Anyway, at least I'll get to see the dub of this episode, which I'm curious who they're going to get for the dub voice. That's going to be fun to see. But I am very curious to know your thoughts down below. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a wild ride next week. I hope y'all are ready, so I'm definitely not. But anyway, I hope y'all have a fantastic week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll be back very soon with more of Witch Hat Atelier. And I'll see you then.